Today's training is going to be very exciting because we will be taking an inside look into a brand that is on track to do 7 figures in sales this year, about $1.5 million for the year. And we will be taking a look at all of their sources of traffic and see how they're performing. We'll be going into the Triple Whale dashboard, which I have open in front of all of you right here. For those of you who don't know what Triple Whale is, it's mostly for e-commerce brands. It's an attribution tool that allows you to properly track the sales and what source of traffic they're coming from. After the iOS 14 changes, quite a while ago now, tracking became very difficult as a lot of consumers opted out of tracking by apps like Facebook and Google. So tracking became difficult, and Triple Whale is one of the solutions that has popped up in recent times. You may be familiar with Hyros, which is more for coaches and people running call funnels for courses and coaching programs. Triple Whale and there's another tool called Northbeam have become popular for e-commerce brands. With that being said, let's take a look at how this brand has been performing this year since January 1st, 2023. And we're going to take a deeper look at what's going wrong with this brand. Now, if you ever have a chance to work with a client or you have your own brand and you're trying to diagnose, what's going on with the metrics, then this exercise will be pretty interesting because there is a serious problem that you're probably able to see as soon as I point it out. And this serious problem can only be addressed in a couple ways. So you're seeing the metrics here. If you can guess what the problem is, it's right here. Facebook, the ROAS is 0.06. I have it set to last click attribution. You can also do first click. There are other options as well. But the reason why I did last click was because generally speaking, you want to take a look at the source of traffic that was the last click. So if Facebook is the last click, the sales coming from your Facebook ads. And in this case, your ROAS is only 0.06. So 17 purchases are attributed to Facebook ads, and you've spent $35,973. So that's pretty bad. Another issue is that the new customer CPA is almost $4,000. So out of these 17 purchases, a lot of these are most likely from existing customers. New customer acquisition is really the biggest problem of this brand. And they need to do something about that. This brand will not grow. I've looked at metrics from the past for this brand. If we go back in Triple Whale, you'll be able to see that every month they're doing about $100,000 to $150,000 in sales. It's all coming from repeat customers, existing customers, and they're not acquiring new customers. So this is an interesting thing to look at because you might look at Google Ads, right? And you might see, okay, Google's reporting a 4.75 times ROAS, and Triple Whale is showing a 3.98 ROAS, which is really good, right? That's pretty solid for Google Ads. And if you take a closer look, you'll see there's a huge problem. So when you go to Google Ads, what you'll see is, as this page loads, it's a 7 times ROAS coming from branded search. So branded search means the search terms that are being bid on in this campaign are related to the brand itself. So if you were, let's say, running ads for Nike, you would bid on the keyword like Nike shoes or Air Force Ones or something like that. Those are branded terms that, that mean one thing. The customer already knows about your brand and is putting those search terms into Google and searching for those key terms and then clicking on your website and purchasing from there. So when you see these purchases, 188, that's a clear indication that 99% of these purchases came from somebody who already knew about the brand and typed into Google the brand's name or the brand's products names and decided to buy. So when you're spending $4,869 and it's all mostly on branded search versus the trivial amounts down here. In fact, these shopping campaigns, whatever agency was running the shopping campaigns, horrible results, right? 0 purchases attributed on a last click basis. You could change this to first click, right? If they click first, the first click over here, still, it's awful, right? It's not good at all. So when you look at Google Ads performance, you think that Google Ads are performing well, but they're not. They're literally not acquiring new customers. In fact, I don't want to say this with a lot of confidence, but you could turn off these ads unless there are a lot of competitors, right? This is a company that's using a very specific brand name. It's trademarked, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you could turn off these ads, and people will search for that specific brand's name and probably come across the link they're looking for, regardless of whether the ad puts the link at the top of Google search results. So maybe they might see a small hit to their sales, but generally speaking, they're not acquiring new customers. These are people who are coming in, searching for the brand name or the brand's products and clicking on the link because they already are interested in buying or have a very high buying intent. So when you look at Google Ads, it's a huge problem, and you're not seeing any new customer acquisition. So that's another problem you want to address. If you're using Google not just for retargeting or for capturing the existing search and demand for your brand and products, you have to do something to acquire customers from cold Google traffic, which is easier said than done. And it would require custom landing pages built for cold Google traffic. You'd want to allow social proof, because when people are Googling, they're looking for either the best deal. You're probably, as an e-commerce banner, not competing on price. You're competing on value, providing the most value. You're positioning your products so that you have a higher margin. So in that case, what you want is to create custom landing pages, and you can review my landing pages trainings that really differentiate your product from the rest. So that's critical. That's something these guys aren't doing. They're just sending all the Google traffic straight back to the homepage. So in that case, you're basically competing against all your competitors because you're just basically a faceless brand with just a homepage like everyone else. So your landing pages should really distinguish your brand from and your products from your competitors. So that's a huge problem with this. Now, general prospecting, I can click on this, and I don't want to show all the customer names here, but I went through these, and the majority of these are also, you've got skincare, so the skincare brand, if I didn't mention it, the majority of these are also existing customers. And so they're not capturing any new customers, even those this says general prospecting. So whoever set up their Google Ads campaigns needs to be keeping an eye on this, because this is just retargeting. And you'll see this with a lot of agencies. To show that they have a great ROAS, they'll just do retargeting campaigns, call them general prospecting or new customer acquisition campaigns, but really you're not getting anything. Now, this is a brand, like I said, it's doing 7 figures a year in revenue, so it has a huge customer list and lots of returning customers. People love the product, but in terms of new customer acquisition, these ads are misleading, highly, highly misleading. So going back here, another thing you can see from the blatant problem that you're seeing is, let's just switch to the last click quickly. Triple attribution means that if somebody clicked on a Google ad, then they got retargeted by a Facebook ad, and then maybe bought, after they got an email from you, then this attribution will be spread across all 3 channels of traffic. So, you can look at triple attribution. There's no one model of attribution that really seals a deal. you have to look at things holistically and see where the sales are coming from, right? Triple attribution allows you to take a look at what were the intermediate steps in between. Google ads, maybe or maybe not Google ads, you got hit with a Facebook ad, you didn't, we clicked on the website but didn't buy, then you get hit with a Google ad when you searched for it and then bought from Google ads. In that case, even though on a first click or last click basis, or on a first click basis, Facebook would get the credit. On a last click basis, Google would get the credit. Maybe if you're just looking at the last click attribution model, you would say, hey, I can turn off my Facebook ads and just leave my Google ads running. But that would cause sales to go down because you took out that first step of people seeing the ad on Facebook. So triple attribution is attribution model you want to look at the same time while looking at last click and first click, because Facebook was the first step before Google ads was a second step. So in that case, triple attribution allows you to see the customer's journey across different channels of traffic. Now, when I click, let's just go back to, it doesn't really make a difference, right? It's 0.17. If you click on first click, right, as it loads, 0.13. So the difference is negligible. And I just want to go last click because I just want to see how many people are clicking off that last click from Facebook and buying. It's 0.06. So that's a huge problem, right? First click Facebook, it was, I think, 0.13, which is slightly higher. That means that there are people who are seeing the Facebook ads, aren't buying immediately, and then maybe being retargeted, maybe even via email. Because honestly, there are very few new customer. I went through the names here. Even this new customer CPA is quite skewed, and there are a lot less new customers than even what Triple Whale says. I cross-checked against the Shopify names, the Shopify customer names. So when you look at 0.06 here, you have a huge problem. So if you open the campaigns here, you've got a lot of money being spent on middle of the funnel remarketing. Top of the funnel is 0.02 ROAS. And there are ads that are being run, turned off. It's just a mess, right? It's just not working out for this brand in terms of finding new. They're running a brand awareness campaign, right? You've got a boosted post, it seems, a couple of boosted posts like Valentine's Day, which have generated 0 sales. This one, non-DPA shopping, they ran an Advantage Plus campaign, 0 sales. Like all of these should be turned off, right? You could leave one campaign running, but you can clearly see this is a huge problem. Whether it's last click or whether it's first click, it doesn't matter. It's a total mess, right? So in that case, I was primarily handling a lot of the copy for this brand, and it's helping out with email marketing. But on the Facebook side, it's a huge mess, and this is kind of the way you want to look at when you do have access to triple whale attribution tools, or whether it's Northbeam, triple whale, Hyros, it doesn't matter. You want to go deep into each source of traffic and go through first click, last click, triple attribution, and see what's going on. Obviously, Google is the primary driver, but even then, because it's returning customers, this number is completely inflated. But at the end of the day, you want to have Google ads running, because there are a lot of competitors in skincare who are probably bidding on certain keywords. So it's important to drive all that traffic, people who are searching for the brand, to your website. So Google ads are critical. Do we want to run them at $12,000? In 2.5 months, you want to spend $12,000? I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe there's an opportunity to reduce spend, right? But at the end of the day, all the sales are really coming from, look, Attentive has generated 47,000. The Klaviyo, these are all different Klaviyo tags. Most of the revenue is coming from email and people already searching for the brand terms. Facebook is just non-existent. So in this case, if I were had the potential to run Facebook ads for this brand, a great way to add value here would be to volunteer to run Facebook ads, clean up the ad creatives, and just really focus on creating good landing pages, new creatives, UGC, mini VSLs, custom landing pages, built-in, a Shopify page builder like Gem Pages or Shogun. It doesn't matter, but that's what this brand really needs. Advertorials are worth testing out. Hybrid sales pages, hybrid ecom pages. I did a training on that a little earlier. Just check that out. That's really important. So again, going back to just the different attribution models, you want to take a look at last click, first click. And I misspoke. When I was talking about triple attribution, I meant linear. I was actually referring to the linear model. So I misspoke there. But you want to take a look at all these different attribution models and come to not an educated guess, but an informed decision that is not going to be precise. There is going to be some, margin of error. But over time, as you test more and acquire more data, you can really drill down into what source of traffic is actually driving the sales, which source of traffic needs to be optimized. In this case, it's very blatant. It's very obvious what needs to be fixed for this brand. But this is kind of how you'd use an attribution tool to diagnose the problem. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to discuss here. It's really important to go through each source of traffic and really drill down into which campaigns are working, which ad creatives are working. That's super important. In this case, because Facebook is such a mess, there's really nothing to do except start this campaign structure from scratch and really drill down into what kind of ad creatives are going to work best. So really, you need to do a complete overhaul of this Facebook ads campaign structure. On the other hand, you may come across, and I'm talking from the perspective of a agency owner or a freelancer. If you get access to this kind of information, you want to go in and see what can be optimized, what's giving less than 1 times ROAS or less than 1.5 times ROAS, and what can really be tweaked. If you are a brand owner, because I know we have a lot in the group who are brand owners, what I'm saying is probably very obvious to all of you. And if you have this existing problem, that we're seeing here, that's probably a place you're not in, because, acquiring new customers is something that you're probably already doing. But this is a very unique case. But yeah, if you're a brand owner, you really want to focus on optimizing the ROAS for, every single campaign, and ad creative as much as possible. And these attribution tools really help with that. I would say that, there are a lot of people out there, kind of like Sean Frank, who owns Ridge Wallets, who says you don't need an attribution tool if you're not doing at least $10 million in revenue. And I kind of agree with that. If you're running maybe one source of traffic, I would say that you probably don't need it. You can rely on Google Analytics and your Shopify Analytics to kind of figure out what's working, what's not working. At the same time, if you have a lot of campaigns, a lot of ads running in Facebook, then an attribution tool makes sense at lower levels of revenue. But if you're like this brand where you're still only doing $1.5 million in sales, then you probably do need an attribution tool because they're running so many different sources of traffic. So if you're running a lot of sources of traffic, I think an attribution tool makes sense. But if you are running only Facebook ads and you have only a couple campaigns or, just a few different ad sets running, then in that case, you could probably, do well and make optimizations without an attribution tool. But look, it's only $300 a month. These tools like Triple Whale, only $300 a month. So you could obviously use it for a month or two and just check in to see what campaigns should be turned off and what campaigns you should keep running, what ad creatives you should turn off. Generally speaking, you don't need to turn off an ad creative. Let the campaign run at CBO, campaign budget optimization, and let Facebook's algorithm decide where to send the budget, what ads to spend on. I've done Facebook ad trainings in the past, and I really believe that letting Facebook figure things out for you is much better than making adjustments on your own. So that's kind of why, and I understand that if attribution is messed up, then Facebook can't optimize properly. But generally speaking, it's never been a huge issue in the past 2 years. So with that being said, I think having an attribution tool like Triple Whale can be beneficial even early in the game. It just gives you more data to look at. And if you end up expanding and running Google and Facebook at the same time, and maybe adding other sources of traffic, it's just good to have. So with that being said, this is just an inside look into a brand's attribution metrics, and hopefully this gives you a breakdown of how to analyze everything. This case study was kind of unique because they have a lot of sales coming in without new customer acquisition. But generally speaking, this is something that you want to look at and adjust accordingly with. So hopefully that was a helpful presentation for all of you. If you have any questions about attribution, how to use these tools, feel free to reach out. So with that, I think we can wrap up this training. I'll be back very soon with another one.